everyone. My name is Bobby Srivastav, co-founder and chief product officer of Benikiva. And in this episode of Making Lemonade Out of Lemons, I have the privilege to introduce you to the legendary Bill Wilson. I know, right? That's how
Yeah.
Tony introduces you. I had an opportunity to meet Bill at our Insurance Nerds Day, heard his amazing presentation on claims, along with advice, a nano talk. So glad, Bill, that you're on our video blog for Making Lemonade Out of Lemons, and would love to get an introduction and share with our audience what excites you about the insurance industry.
Okay. Well, no need to thank me for dressing up this morning. I'm wearing my Anthony Gomes T-shirt and my cargo shorts, which is my usual work attire. I've been working from home for 20 years, so I don't dress up. But what excites me is, aside from doing things like this, is the big thing about the insurance industry is there's something different every day. I mean, it's when I think back over my career over the last 50 years, every day there's something new, there's something different, I learn something every day. Even though I'm kind of a coverage guy, it's rare that a day goes by that I don't learn something that I didn't know, or I don't discover that I thought I knew something that I really didn't know. So that's what excites me about the industry. It is so diverse, and the skills that you can bring to the industry run the gamut. I talked about that at the Ends Nerds meeting in Dallas, that the jobs, the occupations that are available in the industry are so varied that you can be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, which I was when I first got into the industry, and bring whatever skills you have to all kinds of jobs in the industry. But for me, the big thing is that it's just different every day. My wife used to get on me because most people get excited when it's Friday, and I would get excited Sunday night because I knew Monday I'd be back to work and learn something new. So, and it's still the same thing. I even though I'm in kind of semi-retirement, I just love every day and what it brings to me, because I don't know what it brings until it happens.
So, Bill, can you tell us about a time when lemons were thrown, and how did you turn that around lemonade?
Yeah, there've been a few. I've been fortunate. I've had a great career. I've never been fired from a job. I've left of my own accord. I've only had 3 employers, full-time employers, from the time I went off to college until I semi-retired from the Big I National and started my own thing. But probably maybe the most memorable one was back with my original employer. I'd worked my way, started out in engineering, worked my way into management, and then I managed our company's operations in Tennessee and Kentucky, and as performance-wise, as a region, we had not been doing as well as some of the other regions around the country. So they brought in a new regional manager who took over everything, and he came to my office, had a meeting with me in his hotel room, and literally sat me in a chair up against a wall and began to pace back and forth about things are going to be changing around here. And he gives this lecture to me, and I'd heard about this guy's reputation before, and so he gives me this lecture and stuff, and he closed with, things are going to be changing. You have to toe the line. If you don't like it, then you can get out. So I said, well, I thought to myself at that instant, all right, I'll get out then, because I knew what was coming and I didn't want to deal with a person like that. So I had, there was another organization that had been trying to hire me for 2 or 3 years, because the guy who was trying to hire me, his boss was going to retire. He was going to move up, and he wanted me to replace him. So anyway, I called the guy up. I said, all right, I'll make the move. And I did it laterally. I didn't do it for any kind of money or anything. And that's how I got involved with the big eye at the state level and ultimately the national move I ever made. I think I would have been the original company, things would have worked out fine there. And to be honest, I probably would have made a lot more money if I'd stayed there and stayed in management. But I wouldn't have been happy working for this guy. And I was a little bit, I never was real happy in management because it just wasn't intellectually challenging. I like problems and solving problems and exploring things. So anyway, I made a what could have been a very bad situation, and it was very uncomfortable to say the least, sitting in a chair against a wall with this guy ranting and pacing back and forth. I turned that into the best career move I could have made. I've gotten to know thousands of people all over the country and had opportunities I never would have had working inside a company like that. So so that was my lemon-ade experience.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, oftentimes, a lot of people like sometimes these lemons come in and they make the lemonade can be so much more exponential benefits than if lemons weren't even thrown. So I think this is such a great example, Bill.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's
what
a saying that, I was going to say there's a saying that when a door closes, another one often opens, and I've had several, not exactly that extreme, but similar where you hit a brick wall and then you kind of feel your way along and you find an opening and make your way through. So yeah, just because something bad happens, maybe it's happening for a reason, and it may work out in your best interest in the long run.
So Bill, what advice would you give to an insurtech that's trying to get into our industry, or a new professional, new professional?
If it's insurtechs, it's no secret. I blogged about insurtechs pretty often and posted on LinkedIn, and very little of what I said is favorable. And it's because I think most of the ones, at least the high-profile insurtechs that are selling home, auto, and consumer-type personal lines insurance, just don't get it. In my opinion, they're we can place your homeowner's insurance in 30 seconds or 60 or 90 or whatever. And the reality is, having been in this industry for 50 years, is that no, you cannot do it that quickly. And I could give you example after example, and I understand the big data concept, and I can give you examples of where big data sometimes fails, or there's an over reliance on it, or whatever. But I think most of them either don't get it or they're not interested in the mission. And I talked about this at the Ins Nerds thing in Dallas, that the industry exists to help individuals, families, and organizations identify their exposures to loss in order to minimize the exposure of financial catastrophe, or at least a serious financial loss. And I don't get that the insurtechs seem to talk about the customer experience, and they're talking about the buying experience, that it's got to be fast, easy, quick, the old Amazon one-click thing. And buying paper towels from Amazon is not the same thing as entering into a complex insurance contract where everything you own and earn potentially could be at stake. And I don't think they get it. I don't think they understand the real importance of what we are and what we do. So my if you don't care about that, then don't get into the industry. But if you do, learn a little bit about the industry historically, how we developed, and what our overriding mission and purpose is. For new professionals, I would encourage them to consider the agency and brokerage part of the industry. When at the Ins Nerds meetings, it was part of Gamma Iota Sigma's annual conference in Dallas, and I did a breakout session for about 40 or so college students that were getting ready to enter the industry. And I asked them, how many of you plan on becoming or working at an agency or brokerage? Not a single hand went up. they were all going to get into underwriting or claims or some other part of the industry. And I tried to tell them, you can make an incredible living financially if you have any sales ability as a producer at an agency. It's a fulfilling job. So I would encourage them to consider the sales, the point of sale side of the industry. And I would encourage them to, like advice I give InsurTechs, learn about the industry that you're in. I think a lot of the education today has moved to webinars and kind of just-in-time type learning, and that's great, but there's a real need for a foundational learning, kind of like the CPCU designation or CIC or others, but particularly CPCU because it's such a broad collegiate type of education. So that would be my recommendations for new professionals, is to consider and maybe even, I'm talking off the top of my head, maybe consider doing what I do. Anybody who goes to CIC institutes or other types of insurance education training programs has probably noticed that the instructors and presenters are old people like me. There's an aging going on, and there aren't a lot of new people coming in. To do what I do, you have to have some experience to see a lot of it. If I'm talking about claims, to understand the various types of claims that happen, just the experience and so forth. So it takes time, but I would encourage people to work towards the education side, because it's a vanishing breed of people that do either online or real or in-person presentations. So that's my recommendation or recommendations.
Oh, thank you so much, Bill. Really such an honor to have you on our blog. So until next time, everyone.